My name is Jenny, and I'm a survivor of postpartum depression. I'm the mother of 4 daughters, and this is my story. I had my first baby 6 years ago, and I didn't realize at the time that I had suffered from postpartum depression. I put it far, far away from my thoughts and didn't allow myself to feel the things that I thought were bad to feel. And I cried every night after 5 o'clock as the sun went down and just felt really alone. But I'd heard from other people that this was something that happened and no one ever talked about it after. So I didn't listen very well to my own body and mind. And a few years later, we got pregnant with our second baby. And shortly into the pregnancy, we found out that this baby was probably not going to live. And that was a turning point for me. I was really scared to feel all of the things that I knew were going to come. After having a baby and complicated with grief, that was really overwhelming to me. And we came in contact to a really wonderful project in our local area called the JLB Project. And they encouraged us to make appointments with a therapist and to get the help that we needed. And they taught us to feel our feelings and that it was okay to feel our feelings. And we started attending a grief support group after the loss of our baby. She was stillborn, and that was devastating for us. Through the JLB project, we were able to get the resources that we needed, and the grief and the edge of the grief was softened because of that. And I also was started on an antidepressant. Shortly, about a year after she passed, we found out we were pregnant again. And that was where things really got complicated for me. I thought that this was what everyone called the rainbow baby, and she was supposed to fix everything and make me feel better and make our family feel better and less lost. I started to have really bad anxiety attacks about 3 months before she was born. I was nervous that she was going to die and that she wouldn't live and that this wasn't going to work out for us. And so I went back to a therapist, and she helped walk me through the last stages of pregnancy to deliver this last baby for us. And the baby arrived safely, and I was able to make it through the pregnancy, and everything was supposed to be better. Everything was supposed to be right because we had our rainbow baby, and she did bring a lot of light into our lives. But I noticed myself feeling darker and darker, and I felt so alone, and I felt so bad because she wasn't fixing everything that I thought she was supposed to fix. This baby was sometimes not the baby that I wanted, and that was really confusing to me. And then I started to notice that after a few months after her delivery that I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't connecting with reality. I was spending a lot of time alone, and I had a hard time getting out of bed and being motivated to do even the littlest things. And I felt like I was drowning, and that was really frightening, and it didn't make sense to me. My husband and I were starting to disconnect more and more, and we got to the point where we weren't even sleeping in the same bed anymore, that we were just trying to survive, and I wasn't sleeping, and it was just a dark place that we found ourselves in. And so I talked to him about it, and I started making a list of all the things that I'd been feeling: irritable, anxious, alone. I wasn't sleeping. I didn't enjoy being around my children. I wasn't getting out of bed. I couldn't even do the smallest things. And I felt like the world was crashing in around me and I couldn't breathe. And So I talked to my husband and said I probably need to go back to therapy again. I'd stopped seeing her since we'd had the baby. And as soon as I called her, I felt this huge relief. I felt like I could finally breathe, and that someone heard me and someone validated me, and I knew that I wasn't through the dark, but I was on my way out. And that light that I had been longing for it was starting to show again, and everything didn't feel so dark anymore. So I waited for about a week to see her, and when I got to the appointment, I had to take my baby because I was too afraid to leave her with anyone. And she said, just bring her with you and we'll work through it. And so I brought my baby, who was about 5 months old at the time, and she was fussing, and I sat down and started sobbing. And I just told her everything, that I was terrified of all the things that I was feeling, and that I didn't want to lose this baby, and that I felt alone and scared, and that I couldn't do even the smallest things, and that I wasn't sleeping, and that my anxiety drove me to stand over my baby's bed and just stare at her while she slept, because I was so worried and so afraid of those things. And after we talked about it, she said, I just feel like you're drowning in everything that you have going on, and I'm really glad you came in, and we need to start some medication for you. And so I started the medication, and we started working on my thought processes, and within a few weeks I started to feel better, and that light started to come back into my life, and I started to love my baby, and I started to trust that she was healthy, and I started to trust that everything was gonna work out, and I didn't feel alone. And I started to enjoy going outside, and I started to notice that I had more friends in my life that I wanted to be with, and I noticed that I liked being around my kids, and I didn't feel overwhelmed when they wanted to be noisy or play games or listen to music or whatever it was they wanted to do that was overwhelming to me and overstimulating to me. They were able to be kids again instead of being afraid of me, and I felt like the edge that I was living on started to soften, and that I wasn't fighting the irritation all the time, that I wasn't fighting anxiety all the time. And my husband and I started to enjoy each other's company more, and I think what I learned and what I continue to learn as I heal from this experience is that you can't be afraid of looking for resources to help you. Don't be afraid of asking for help. And asking for help is not failing, but it's helping yourself and helping your family and allowing the people around you to lift you and support you. And it's so important to reach out for that, because you have something to live for, and you have something to enjoy in life, and it is possible to feel that joy in your life. I don't know what I would have done without someone telling me that it was okay to feel my feelings, that it was okay to feel sad and angry and upset and frustrated and depressed. It was okay to feel those things, and there's nothing wrong with me for feeling those things, because those are normal human feelings. But it's also important to look for help and to find the help when you are feeling those things and life becomes overwhelming and you feel like you're drowning. It's important to look for the help. I also learned that I'm worth fighting for, and I'm worth being around, and I'm worth it for my family, that I'm important to them, and that my children need me more than just to feed them and bathe them and take care of them, but to be their mother and to be their safe place. And they need me, and it's worth fighting for them to take care of yourself. And I hope by sharing my story that someone can be lifted by it and feel safe to reach out and find the resources that you need, whether it be a therapist or a friend or a support group, medication, a doctor, whatever it is, that you can reach out and find the resources that you need to help you, because getting help is not failing. It's reaching out and lifting yourself, and in the process, as you share your story, you lift others. And I think that's what I have to share.